But how to store date value? Because date is a combination of some special characters and numbers. If I put in a quote, then it becomes a string. So if I don't use that, then it is invalid. Like suppose 28, 06, 21, that's not a correct date. It is also invalid. So if I put in quotes, it becomes string. It may look like date, but it is considered as a string. You cannot do any date manipulations on that. That's the problem. So then how to store the date values? Actually, to store the date values, we have to use, so we have to allocate new date constructor. Just like array, we have a date constructor. So it allocates memory for date type value. And by default, it loads the current date and time into this memory. It loads the current date and time into memory. So if you want to handle dates, then you have to define the date constructor. That means actually date is a literal with number and special characters. So JavaScript provides date construct to handle date values. So date allocates memory for date type value. So here some restrictions are there. So date loads current date into memory. It loads the current date and time. Date means here date and time into memory. So you can configure specific date in year, month, day format. That is mandatory. Many times people ask like, can I change format? Changing format you can change for displaying, not for input. Input format always recommended year, month, day. That's understandable to all browsers. Otherwise, some browsers cannot understand. So better always provide date in year, month, day format. Year, month, day format. That is input only, displaying your wish. After input, user can change in any format and display in any format. That's the reason input must be in that particular format. So you have to configure input in that format. So syntactically, how we define syntax. So var and some manufactured MFT shortcut is equal to new date. So that is the date constructor. So it allocates memory for date kind of values. You can see now. So I am defining here date. And let's try to print this document.write. So name is equal to, so that is the name variable. And the price is equal to the price, and manufactured is equal to here, so the manufactured, and this is the date, and you can see I haven't mentioned any date. So by default, it gets the current date and time and display. So by default, it configures the current date and time and display. Now, if you want any specific date, then you can pass into this. Into the date constructor, we can pass the date. So here it should be year 2021. So month 06 and some 20, or say 0 to 20. Now that is the year, month, day format. That is the correct format to enter. And it will get that date related detail and display. Now the point is, generally date inside date constructor is defined like a string. Not directly it is a string. So it is defined like a string here. It is configured like a string. So here I am configuring date is equal to new date. And into that, we can define the date. So year, what is the year? And the year we have defined. So that is 2021, some month, and some day, like this. We can configure specific date so that it will use the date and display the date. Actually, when you are working with the dates and defining the dates, you can use date pickers. The date pickers, because no need of asking the client to enter the date. We generally in websites, we provide a date picker, calendar. User will click on that calendar, selects and uses it. So by default, HTML have that facility. Input type date is there. Already we discussed input type date. But that is not we are configuring the date and defining the date in this way. But to display in our own style, because I don't want like this. Methods for accessing date and time. Methods for accessing date and time. It have methods like, so get hours, so get minutes,